Okay, in this first tutorial, I'm going just to show you how to set a project. So, in other words, here's how to make your directories. This is very important because you're going to create a lot of scenes, a lot of objects, 3D objects. So, you have to be sure where you're going to locate into storage these objects. All right, it's quite simple. So after you open Maya, okay, click yes, okay. So you have the Maya. I'm going to explain later on about the interface, but the most important thing is before you start. Let me see. I minimize. I work in just in the Mac, but it's similar in on PCs. Okay, so I have my USB here. Okay, and that's actually is a blank USB. Okay, it's okay. Well, if you have a USB with 16 gigabytes or more, I think it should be just fine for your first part of Maya in 3D tools. Okay, so I'm going to make a directory. I put just in a new folder. I can just put just next gen, and I put 2023. Okay, and then you're going to create inside the folder. You create a sub folder. Yeah, and these I'm going just to put just probably Maya. It's up to you. Yeah, I can put Maya 2023. Yes, in a okay. And now inside the folder, I create one folder who is going just to be called scenes, and the other folder, I'm going to put assets. Okay, I'm going to explain in a minute what is this and what is that for. Okay, after you just make that, just yeah. So I have the folder next gen. I have inside Maya 23, and I have assets and scenes. That is when I'm going to store all my first items in Maya. Okay. Now I have to tell the computer really yes and where I'm going to set it. So I will have to set a project. All right. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to file and I'm going to say set project. Okay. And then I have to go again. I use the Mac, but for PC, you have just to go and check for your USB. And this part is games. It's already just telling me yes, next gen, just 2023. Double click on that. Maya. Aha. So I want to set these main folders. Yeah, so the main title, Maya 2023, you set the folders, okay? After you have this one, it's going to show you, yes, and it's going to create a mail script there. So Maya is going to recognize that directory really for your work, okay? So create the full workspace, that's fine, right? So let's just create something. Now, I'm going just to create just a polygon. I'm going to explain you later on what is this. Well, we create an object who is a cube. Okay, coming inside there, right? And then I'm going to have just a moving tool. I'm going to explain you this one as well. I guess this one is only for to set your project. Yeah, okay, I have a cube here, and I'm going to create another object. This time I'm going to create a sphere. Yep. Okay. So, what is a scene? A scene is really is the whole studio that you have here. So, if you want to save the whole studio, that include the object that will be include yes any lighting you put over there, yes any other objects, yes the floor and everything. So, it's going to save the whole studio. All right. To do that, you have to go to File and Save Scene As. Yeah, and you check really that you have the folder scenes there. And you can put just my first studio or my yes put my first scene. Okay. Yeah, save as. Right. Now there is another save. Just pretend that actually yes you want to save only this cube here. So you select the cube, that's your selection tool. Yeah, You see it's highlighting, and then go to File, and this time you put Export Selection. Yeah, because selected, Export Selection. And this one's going to your asset. It's not going to your scenes. Yes, you have to be sure that this is going to your folder, who is the assets. Yeah, and you can put here cube. Yep. So export selection. Okay. And then I can just, for example, if I just spend a lot of time just putting textures and modifying this, then I just go to same thing, export selection, okay, and the check that all the time the directory is in assets and put a sphere, okay, and so on. Especially yes, when you create, for example, yes, a character also, yeah, and so you want only the character. But you don't want to save the holes to the whole scene. Yes, that's the way yes to do it. I'll give you an example. If I clear all this, yep, and then just pretend I just have yes, and I'm going to create a studio. Let's put a floor first, for example. I'm going polygon primitive, and I'm going just to this time to put a plane. Okay, I'm going to enlarge this plane. So this is the floor. This is my studio. Okay, so I just create just a studio here, and I want to bring just one of the characters that I created, the cube. Yeah, so I have to do now is file and go to import and go to my assets, and I have the cube here, so I just put import, and then I'm going to have the cube and this, right? If you want to bring, for example, different characters, because that's what you're going to do, you're going to have a lot of characters, yes, so you want to bring just um, the other character, which is the sphere. So you go to import here and go to assets and sphere, and you create import, and you have the sphere here. All right. That is the main objective, really, yes, to have a very good, yes, and a directory, yes, management skills. Okay. Now, before I just cut this, I'm going to show you another thing. Yes, now what happened, yes, in my files? I'm going just to show you very quick. This is the folder I created, and that is Maya 23, and I have my assets and scenes. I have this little script here that actually, yes, interlink with the work that I'm going on Maya. Okay. Now, another asset, I have my cube in a sphere, and I have, yes, in the scene, my first scene. Yeah, you see, I have my asset there. Okay. And then later on, I'm going to show you, yes, explain you more in detail what is the extension for. Okay. Good. I'm going to explain you just in a little bit of the interface for Maya. I'm going to enlarge this one a little bit more. Again, I work with a Mac, but it's exactly the same for PC as well. Okay, right. I'm going just to start for the top. We have the main menu here. Now, also we have a sub menu. At the moment, for example, setting modeling. So if you're going to do modeling, then you will see that all these from the windows, from the window menu, all these are all these files are especially for modeling. If I change this one to animation, for example, you see from Windows, yes, all these files, yes, will help me really, yes, to do my animation. If I go to special effects, again, all these submenus are going to help me for my special effects. Okay, now, uh, then we have, yes, the shelf. that actually, yes, and is really just a shortcut. You can customize this one there, but I will explain you later. Right now, this is the outliner. Now, the outliner just is telling you all the objects that you have on here. Okay, at the moment you don't see, but you are inside this camera. We have four cameras. Yeah, this is the perspective camera. If you press Control for PC, yes, and Command for Macs, and press your left button mouse, you can rotate really that camera. So you can rotate the view actually. Yeah. Just pretend that you are inside the camera of this perspective camera here. Okay. If you press the middle button, yes, you can put up down. And if you click the right button and hold it, um, yeah, you will have the, well, probably it's not setting properly here. You will have the in and out. Okay, it's control in. Okay, that's it. Right. And now this is the perspective camera. Now, if you click in your perspective camera and press the space bar once, yeah, you will see that you have the top view. So this is the top camera. If you put it again, that's the perspective. Again, that is the top view and perspective. So you can just change the object. Also here as well, you can just have the four view, yeah, or you have the top view, the front view, and the side view. I will show you this one in a minute. Okay, now I'm going just to bring an object. We did on this before. I'm going to create just a cube, a polygon primitive, and this time I'm going to put a cube there. Right. I press F just to focus. Yeah, there. I can just say it. So this has a queue, and is every time when you create something, is create in the origin here. Right. If you see this little thing here, yeah, you have the three axes, the X, Y, and Z axis. That really just is giving the orientation really for the position of your object in this 3D world. Now, on here, I'm going to show you first. This is the channel box. Very, very important because actually this one show the position of the objects. Yes, and the 3D space. For example, if I put one here and press enter, yeah, the box is going to move into the X axis. Okay. If I press just 0 here as well again, click on that, click 0, press enter, and you go in that to the center. If you go into the y-axis, press 1, for example, here, you expect it to go up. What about if I just put just -1? Let me just, in geometry, -1, they're going down the 0 axis, okay? So this one just gives you just a reference, really, yes, of the position. That is what we call the translate or the transformation, yes, in the X. And also we have also the rotation also. So if we have our tools here, we have the rotation tool. You see the rotation tool of the Y. Yeah, star. You can just do a fully rotation here. You can put 90, for example, there. Yeah, so they rotate 90 degrees. Okay, no rotation, 0. All right. Selection tool here. Yeah, do you have the moving tool? If you go into the axis, or you can click in the center, and you can just move this one in the 3D, right? And you have the rotation tool here. You can rotate in different ways. You see these little arcs here. Yeah, you can just rotate that thing. We're going to start playing with that in a minute. Right. Now we have undo. In the undo is the Control Z in PCs and Command Z in Mac. If you hold the Control and press Z, you can have 21 undos. Yeah, so you can just go back If you have several mistakes, you can go back again. Remember just to put back into your uh, selection tool. Now, the most important part here as well is to modify. We have the scale tool. Now, scale has these little cubes, and if we move, we can just modify actually just that cube, and you see the scale just move into that position. Okay, so we have three handles, one for the top, yes, and also the side, and all that is depend on this uh, geometry here that we have, yes, and the axis. Okay, right. Now, remember, this one is to move the objects, yeah? And by clicking Control and the mouse is to move the whole environment, the camera that you are in. I'm going just to continue just in giving just in a more information about how to your moving tools. Yes, all these tools. Remember, this one is your moving tool, this one is your rotation tool, and this one is your scale tool. This is your selection tool. The selection tool is the main thing. You see, it's just in green. I'm going to press F in the keyboard in order just to focus really just onto that object. Now, also, we see again, we learned just that we have the channel box with all the attributes really yes, of this cube. Okay. Now, also, if you double click on that, you can just change this one. I can put just box. Yeah. And yeah, so this is my box. And also, you see, automatically just change to box here. Okay. Right. Um, Now, if you right click and hold your right click in the mouse, you will have these menus appear, okay? And then what you're going to do now is just to put a vertex. Now the vertex are these points on the angles of these cubes that we call vertex, and you're going to be familiar with that. Now, if I select one selection tool, if I select just one of these vertex, okay, and I call my moving tool, yeah, so I can move this one to a different position, if you see. Yep. So this one is a very powerful, very powerful. You can tool. Command set for you is control. Yes. So you can just do selections here, and do your moving yes, where you want it. This is a very just you tool, yes, and we will see when we start just modeling, yes, and stuff here. Okay, I can do multiple selection by holding Shift and select the other part. There are 2 points, yeah, so I can just moving these 2 points together there, right? Also, if I again right click, if I put now the edge. Yes, then I can select the age of this part, so I can modify. Yep, age here, because modify that age. Yeah, remember, yes, I can use the scale tool as well. Look what happens if I press from this cube, then I just modify, yes, this, okay? So I'm going just to give you just a lot of ways how to modify your objects when for modeling, okay? Again, if I just go to vertex, and I click here, I can just and select here both, for example, vertices. I can just modify, yes, the scale down. Okay. Now go back again, right click, and then the face. That's very yes interesting because if you click on here and you put the moving tool, you can modify the faces. Okay, of that. And selection, yes, and is very important because later on I'm going just when we add texture, for example, colors, or we need just to paint, yes, one face, for example, we can just add that. But that is another just tutorial I'm going just to give you. Okay. Now, you see at the moment is yes, this one is in blue. When you finish, yeah, you have to click and hold and put back to object mode. Object mode is the beginning, the settings at the beginning. So is the green. So if you have green here, that's okay. Just be careful. Do not just leave this one into a blue because then you can just by mistake you can just modify your object. Okay, go and in object mode. Perfect.